Warchant TV. As you can tell, obviously, same thing as yesterday. We are at the house. Happy Veterans Day to all of you out there. Obviously, we want to acknowledge that right at the top of the show. It is Libations Friday, but more importantly, it is Veterans Day. So we salute our veterans. Happy Veterans Day, everybody. I'm Jeff. Tom will be along shortly. Lee Sterling this hour of Paramount Sports, just because we're pre-recording this show today slightly earlier than its normal start time. Doesn't mean we didn't want to get Lee Sterling in for Paramount Sports. We'll have my mom in hour number 2 to make her picks as well, which we're looking forward to. She picked up a game on me last week, so that's good. But it's a normal show, as always, on a Libations Friday before Florida State and Syracuse. Right from the get-go, I do want to note that tomorrow's pregame show, Tom, if you want to show the people the graphic, we can, for those that are watching on Warchant TV, there it is. Pregame show begins at 7 o'clock. Myself and T. Lizzie will break down Florida State and Syracuse. The watch-along party is at 8 o'clock. Of course, our own Dominic Robinson does a great job with that, and so do Tom and Aslan, and even occasionally if I'm on board. And the post-game show is Tom and Gene. That begins 10 to 15 minutes after Florida State and Syracuse wrap. Hopefully we're talking about another lopsided win. Those are easier shows to do, are they not, buddy? I mean, goodness, this team is rolling right now, playing good football. You want to finish out this season on a roll. I do think they are equipped and poised to do so. They're healthier than they've been. They're playing well. They're probably brimming with confidence. Got to wonder where Syracuse's head's at right now, as they have lost 3 straight. They've had some injuries along the way. It will be absolutely pivotal for Syracuse, of paramount importance, I should say, that they have Schrader back at quarterback. I'm told he's practiced this week. I've checked in with some Syracuse people. It looks like he did get plenty of reps. But remember, that's what they said about Tyler Van Dyke last week at Miami, and we were all a little, I'm not so sure this passes the smell test. And then he got out there, and he looked terrible when he was out there. Miami, by the way, just a newsflash, Miami was not going to win that game if Joe Namath were quarterback. It wouldn't make any difference. They had zero chance to beat Florida State. They're just not good enough. They're an inferior program who have very few players of note. So that wasn't going to make a difference, but it certainly would have helped them maybe lessen the abuse had Van Dyke been healthy and been able to, at least get some first downs and flip field position, which they couldn't do. It was pretty obvious early on he wasn't right, and then he got hurt again, which is kind of criminal, which if I were a father who had a quarterback contemplating going to Miami and I watched that display on Saturday, I think I'd reconsider that kid played in that condition, got hurt again. I know Coach Cristobal told everybody that he was cleared. I don't doubt him.
Oh, well, he didn't even tell him. So on his Monday show, he was coached up to make sure that it was said. So I went and watched about 5 to 7 minutes of Mario Cristobal's show. And the first segment, and they've got some actually really good people down there. Joe Zagacki is the play-by-play guy.
He does a good job.
He does a very good job. I forget, and forgive me, Miami fans, who was the analyst sitting in the middle. But the analyst said, and coach, it's just important to remember that, if you're medically cleared to play, then you can play, right? Isn't that right? Isn't that right, coach?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's right. He was medically cleared, and I was, okay. Yeah. So it was very important that they put that out there, because the speculation down maybe in that athletic department, but certainly down in that market, must have been rampant that they did him a disservice by playing him, so much so that the PR department said, don't let Mario forget. He's got to say these words, that he is medically cleared to play. And if Van Dyke transfers, then you know all you need to know about how that situation was handled.
He may transfer anyhow. I mean, he could transfer regardless of the fact that they played him when he was hurt. I mean, if I'm him, I'm certainly thinking Gaddis's offense is not for me. Even when he was healthy, they sucked. So to me, this is a mess, but we'll let them wallow in their nonsense. Hopefully they lose to Georgia Tech tomorrow. I think there's a good chance they do. Which, by the way, we saw Georgia Tech, everybody. That'll tell you where Miami's at, that game's a pick 'em. That line is, I mean, come on now. We saw that. That line's a pick 'em. Come on. So, hey, listen, Tyler, he may want to look around. That's all I'm saying, because that's an ugly situation. They're in a major rebuild, Tyler. They're in a major rebuild. You'll be long gone by the time they see the fruits of that labor, if they ever see it.
No.
So there's something,
if they're smart, last thing on Miami, but if they're smart, they'll use Shakari Brown and they'll just run read option all day and then they'll throw off of it. Because I think that would be that's how you get to a bowl game if you're them. That's how you find a way to a bowl game this year.
They're not going to a bowl game. No. I mean, come on, sir. Don't you give them that kind of – they're not going to a bowl game. So there's that. But, yes, and the point is we got off track there. That did make me laugh, by the way, because they did have to go out of their way to say that he had been medically cleared. On every show that Cristobal did, it got mentioned. It got mentioned every time. He was either asked about it very specifically early in the interview or he brought it up himself because he knows it was a bad look. It's a bad look. Before the wincing on the crossbody throwaway, before the falling on the arm and the getting up and all that, before that ever happened, look at the ball come out of that kid's hand. Come on, you can't tell me you didn't see that at practice all week long. If it looked like that on game day, after a week's worth of, coddling, you're telling me that you saw him throwing the ball crisply during the week? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Period.
And the talk on Schrader is that it's a lower body injury. It's not the throwing shoulder in the same way that it was for Van Dyke. Do I have that right? I understand it as a lower body.
So initially the thought was it was a concussion.
Okay.
And then they denied that repeatedly. They said that it was not a concussion. And then Dino Babers is a child and he gets asked questions and he doesn't give real men answers. And he likes to dance around things and say things like owie, like an ass. It's embarrassing to watch a grown-up act the way that he does in these interviews. So he danced around it repeatedly. And then he ended up saying, well, listen, it's not that, it's not that. Then they said, well, okay, well, if it's not a concussion, is it an arm injury? Is it a knee injury? Is it a leg injury? Is it a lower body, upper body? He still wouldn't give an answer. Yes, they're speculating it was a lower body injury, but it's weird because, Tom, all Syracuse fans have watched the kid in warmups. They've seen him look fine.
Yeah.
So if it's not a concussion and he's standing in uniform throwing the football and he doesn't appear to have any problems, what the hell is it?
Well, you'll be able to tell by the way he plays if he does play tomorrow night. And is he the same runner? Does he run?
I would hit him with a little extra what for very early to find out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and does he call his own number? Because he's fearless running the football, and obviously
yes, he's tough.
He's very tough to bring down as it is, even if he was just standing in the pocket looking to make a throw. That's the hard part, is getting your hands on him is not even half the job for this defensive front.
Yeah, he's strong. And listen, I want to make it abundantly clear because I can hear it right now in my head. I'm not knocking the kid. I don't want anybody to think that I'm taking shots at the kid. I'm taking shots at the coach. The kid is fine. He's a tough kid. He's a fine college quarterback, nothing to write home about. But he is tough and he will run and he is willing to put it on the line. And if you have a kid like that, then you doff the cap and they will call his own number and he'll call his own number. And he ran all over us. We saw it up close and personal. That's the Jordan Travis game at the end where we get lucky and avoid the holding call that was blatant. And we win the game, which is great. But that kid put them in a position to win because he really lit us up and his legs led to some open passes. So he ended up, let's hope he doesn't play. If he does play and he's healthy, then we may have a game because he is tough.
Yeah, that's true. And they make a lot of throws that are anticipatory in that offense too. Coach Anai, we've talked about him this week, first-year offensive coordinator, worked with Brennan and obviously under Bronco Mendenhall at Virginia. Mm-hmm. That was a transplant from BYU to Virginia and now up to Syracuse. He's covering the all the contiguous 48, it would seem. But that offense is impressive in its passing concepts and how much it's grown in 1 year and developed through Schrader, who we thought was a one-trick pony.
Yeah, we didn't think he could do it. Yeah.
It's not that hard. Get the kid on the ground. That was last year. This year you say, "Ooh, all right, Garrett, I see it." Without great receivers, they've got Gadsden, who's their one target, but they don't have great receivers. That passing game is actually very impressive. We got asked earlier in the week about the defense and how impressive they are. They're smart because they coach around the things they can't do well. I'm impressed with that offense because you see what's left behind in the wake of his departure at Virginia, an awful offense, and you see what's happened at Syracuse with their passing concepts. It's a much, much better and more potent attack, but it only works if Schrader is the quarterback. They don't have a good backup. And accuracy issues still plague Garrett Schrader as it is. There'll be times when somebody's wide open and you just see a ball hit the ground and spiked, like DJ. Every once in a while, you go, what in the hell? But he's much better, and he's the only chance they have to win this football game. but I like the way you led this talking point, which was even if he plays, what version of himself is he? And that's what you got to find out tomorrow.
You got to find out early, and obviously you play within the rules, but if you can get a good shot, you take your chances and you get a good shot in there. And let's find out where he's at physically, because if he's a shell of himself, Florida State's going to win comfortably. Period. If he doesn't play, Florida State's going to win in a runaway. Now, if he is healthy and he plays well, could have a game. Because I still would maintain that the real trust that I have when I watch Florida State is all on offense. It's all on offense. Now, I get it. A lot of people can say, Jeff, they just held Miami to 3 points. They've played really well in back-to-back games. Georgia Tech's offense is awful. They didn't have their starting quarterback. I don't really count it. You look at this situation with Miami. They didn't have their starting quarterback. Their backups are terrible. They quit before they could get started because they were down just like that after back-to-back Florida State touchdowns. I still don't know that it says as much about our defense as it does the opponents. I do know that our offense is good, period. So I have a lot more faith in the offense. Yeah. We'll see about this defense.
Yeah, the thing, I immediately regretted it when I did the pick on the Warchant report. It's been bothering me since we recorded it on Wednesday afternoon that I gave Syracuse 21 points in the prediction. I said 35 to 21. I think it's got 16 or 17 at most written all over it. I think even if Schrader plays, I've got a suspicion that this defense has actually improved incrementally.
It would be huge if, and to that end, and I know we got a break is going to bring Lee Sterling in. To that end, Tom, there's a part of me, for the exploratory mission sake, wants Schrader to be perfectly healthy, right? Wants them to have all their guys and play to the best of their ability. And if at that point Florida State holds them to under 20 points, well, yes, please. I'm going to be very, very, very happy with what I've seen, and I'll give them more credit. Jeff Cameron, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced, and while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you, and thank me later. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hi, everybody. It's Ed Dean, Florida's #1 statewide radio talk show, now in Tallahassee afternoon drive from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Real Talk 93.3 FM. Yes, highly entertaining, fast-paced, never boring. We always give you the story behind the story when you catch the Ed Dean radio show. And we are ready to go. Tallahassee daily, 5 to 6 p.m. It's the Ed Dean radio show on Real Talk 93.3 FM WVFT.
Over 50 years ago, when Paul Nicholson founded Paul's Termite and Pest Control, he had one goal in mind: provide the best service possible to his neighbors so they felt like family. Your problem was his problem, so today it's our problem. Paul's service area is our home. It's where our kids go to school, where we shop, and where we get involved with community organizations. So if some out-of-town company knocks on your door and begins pressuring you to sign an agreement for termite or pest control, you can bet on a few things. Number one, you'll never see that person again. Number two, your technician is likely to change often. And number three, your money will not stay in North Florida. These companies are sending your money to home offices in Atlanta, Orlando, Salt Lake City, or even Great Britain. Paul's Termite and Pest Control knows local means something to you. The health of your Tallahassee home, family, and pets is our #1 priority. For the elimination of termites and pests and a greener lawn too, call your local company with local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control.
Hey, this is Greg Tish. Here's something you might know about me. I don't drink coffee. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Well, that is until now. So why change now? Well, it's because my dear friend at Grassroots Coffee reached out to me after hearing me say that and insisted that I give his product a try. I've been making a huge mistake. The world of coffee is fascinating. I always thought coffee is coffee, you know? No, it's not. I have tried their coffee and it is fantastic. Now, I've got a fascination with learning more about the best coffee in our area. Grassroots coffee is locally roasted, locally owned, and locally loved. You can find whole bean grassroots coffee on the local aisle at Publix, also in Whole Foods, but the best way to get this black gold is to order it online. They literally grind the fresh roasted beans to your preferred level, bag it, write the date on it by hand so you know the exact day your coffee was roasted. It doesn't get any more fresh than that. Order yours now. Just go to grassrootscoffee.com and choose the coffee you want and how you want it. And join me. Let's step up our coffee game together and also support a great local business.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com.
And away we go. Welcome back. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Libations Friday. We're getting the man in right now. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. Welcome to the program. I love this guy's honesty. Lee, my heart was as broken as yours. I watched every second of the Air Force game, a game that Air Force dominated. And was it number 59 or 69 who had the two false starts on the 1 yard line that absolutely killed us on this cover, buddy? Killed us.
Yeah. I mean, to get to the 1 yard line, all you need to do is punch it in and you win. What's crazy is that was the first game Saturday. I haven't lost a game since. So we even won every game Saturday, did not lose game Sunday, win Tuesday night with Ohio, and win last night with Memphis. So I don't seem to win those games. So
I don't know, buddy. You've been good on those. You were undefeated on your 45-unit plays, 50-unit plays on the year. Yeah. So you just got robbed a little bit there. We didn't cover that one by a half.
How about the tripping? How about the tripping?
I know, and they didn't call it.
So, when you lose, you remember everything that happened. And also, hey, you know what? Would I rather have winning that game and go 2-9,
right,
or losing the game going 9-1-2? I'll take the 9-1-2.
Oh, us real ones out here know the deal, Lee. It's okay, right? We're okay. I mean, we're in it to win it here. All right, let's get to the games. Fun ones this week. I was surprised by this line. I want to hear your thoughts on Texas. I saw 7.5 earlier in the week. 7 TCU. Yeah. TCU's been great all year. A fun team to bank on. They've struggled at times to find ways to win games, but they are undefeated. Sonny Dykes doing a good job there. Talk to me about this number.
So, like, I think the Georgia-Tennessee line, a lot of people were shocked. I told everyone Georgia's going to win. I think this one is wrong. I thought last week was right. I thought Georgia was going to put pressure on Hendon Hooker, and they did, and dominated the game. I think TCU is one of these teams that is so good, they're going to find a way to stay in games. Not saying they're the top 4 team in the country, but what has Texas done? I mean, they've been dominated, I think, like 38-7, second half of the last 2 games. Play calling has been poor. They were helped last week by Kansas State, number 1, starting Adrian Martinez instead of Will Howard. How do you bench a guy who beats a good team 48-0, and before that was up 28-10 before he left with an injury? So TCU is going to find a way to make it close. I don't know if they're going to win or not. I actually got Texas winning 41-38, but I'll take the 7. Wouldn't shock me if TCU wins outright.
I agree. A sneaky good game here. Oregon's favored heavily, 13.5. I've been waiting on this number to get to 14.5 to jump Washington. Whose side are you on here?
I would still play Washington. There's sometimes not who's more talented. Oregon's obviously more talented. Number 1 passing game. So Michael Penix, he's number 2 in all-purpose yards, and behind May, and they have the number 1 passing game. And what does the Oregon Ducks have on defense? Number 117th against the pass. Also, there's another thing I think that is in Washington's favor. They may not be a great defense, but they're very quick and might force Bo Nix into some turnovers, sacks, and they get a couple turnovers. It's going to be tough to cover almost a 2-touchdown spread here. So I'll take Washington here. I think the Ducks win this game something like 42-34. I think 13.5 is too much.
All right, so we have a sucker bet here. Vegas is begging you. I'm sounding the alarms with my hands. LSU, Arkansas. So I know everybody looked at this game. This is a great spot for Arkansas, but is LSU just playing too well, the number 3?
I think you have a great point there. Yeah, I think they might be playing too well. I don't like going against hot quarterbacks. I think it's LSU or stay off the game. Sam Pittman, early in the year, first like 3-4 games of the year, a lot of upsets, and he gets his team up. I think his linebackers and defensive backs are so deficient, they just can't make plays in space. I think it's going to be tough for him to knock off LSU. Do I think LSU's a top 4 team? Maybe not, but I just can't back Arkansas. So we'll take LSU here, 34-24.
Well, let's go to a team that beat LSU. That would be Florida State University. There we go, Lee. We're talking. Hey, you notice.
I'll see you later.
Hey, so by the way, you noticed just the kind of love we have for each other. Lee's one of the few great Miami fans, and I laid low with it. We didn't even really bring it up until right now.
Right.
Did you go, or were you lucky enough to stay home?
I stayed home.
Okay, good.
I don't go to many games anymore. My daughter's not. After my daughter finished cheerleading, I think I had tickets for like 35, 36 years. I just need to watch so many games.
Yeah.
Not that I don't enjoy it. It's become – so my tickets are on the south side. I have to park on the far northwest corner. You got to go over these bridges. It's like a 30, 40-minute hike just to get into the stadium, into your seats. Yeah. So it's becoming, with tailgating, a 7-8 hour event. And I just prefer, I've got a 75 and 255s in my man cave. What I do is I put up like an email. I send an email out to about 15, 20 different people, few couples we entertain with, some of my friends. And we have 4 seats and we can add 2 more. And so once the 6 seats fill up, that's it. And we have different themes. We'll go Italian some days. Deli on Sundays a lot is popular. I enjoy watching that way now. So
it's smart. It's easier. It's easier to accept watching on 3 big screen televisions when you had a hunch. You did have a hunch this could get ugly, and I certainly had a hunch. Yeah. So
you had a larger hunch than I. I don't think anyone thought it was going to be that bad. And now it's hurting recruiting. Rashada, one of their key recruits, quarterback, decommitted and committed to Florida. That's bad news for both of us.
Yeah.
So if he's going to decommit, go somewhere else, go to Tennessee or something like that.
Well, the good news is Florida State could paste Florida, and then Rashada could come here.
That's true. That's true. So now, he's got to try to hold it together. Syracuse has got a problem in this game.
Mm-hmm.
If their quarterback can't play, Schrader, they just can't compete. They don't have any depth. And they don't hit on big plays. And when you face a team that has the confidence that Florida State has now, I think Florida State's a tough out here. I'll lay the 6.5. I think Florida State wins this game here 33-17.
Yeah, I think it's lopsided as well. All right, really quickly, Tampa Bay and Seattle. The Bucs find a way to win a game they probably shouldn't have won. It's been ugly all year long. They're giving points here. Who do you like?
So I heard someone say the angle that Seattle has to fly so much farther, and that's a problem. So I actually put someone on my staff to work here. So this is the way it works out. To fly from Tampa to Germany, 4,411 miles. Seattle, I guess because of the curve, the way they do it, is only 4,785 miles. Only a little over 370 miles more is the flight. So people saying that Seattle is at a big disadvantage because of that. Turned out not so. What impressed me about Seattle, Geno Smith, he throws a pick 6. They go behind. He gets under center, and 4 or 5 plays, bam, they come back and took the lead, never looked back here. I think they have the better running game. There's a lot of problems in Tampa. Tom, you should have stuck with Giselle. You should have quit last year. I like Seattle here. I think they win 24-20.
Florida and South Carolina is the game of the week for you here. How do folks get it, Lee?
Just call 800-400-9741. We'll give it to them for free. 9-1-2 last week. We've won 11 out of 13 weeks. How about this special? You don't need to sign up for a month or a season. You want to try me on Saturday? 7 games, $77. As soon as you purchase it, window pops open, all 7 games. 5 games, $55 in the NFL. We have not had a losing Sunday in the NFL. 7 for 77 on Saturday, 5 for 55 on Sunday. Just one place. Not the University of Miami, ParamountSports.com.
Good to see you, Lee. Thanks for jumping on this morning, buddy. Be well.
See you, buddy.
Take care. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, does a great job for us. And Tom, we'll keep it rolling here, and you and I will kind of reflect on these games. It is funny, by the way, that he mentions the flight distance. I had somebody tell me that as well, because there was a whole story about that this week, which cracks me up. And I obviously my brother was head of the tower at Logan for a long time, and air traffic controller. And he and I were talking. He was like, "What? This is silly." So yeah, I mean, I guess you need an angle here, but I kind of agree with him. Seattle's one of the best stories in the NFL this year. It's crazy. It's not that they're winning; it's that Geno Smith's playing really well. It's like it's not like, hey, smoke and mirrors, they're finding ways to win games. Like, dude is balling.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. It was cute for week 1 because Seattle was playing Denver and Monday Night Football, and you thought, oh, that's really funny. They stuck it to Mr. Unlimited himself, but it just keeps on going. His efficiency numbers are really good. They use the middle of the field really well on offense as well. So it's not just about DK Metcalf and Baldwin on the outside. Will Disley is a guy in the red zone that they really like to go to. And then the running game's not bad either. The thing is, though, that if the Bucs found a way to win this game, it might signal, and this is maybe hope talking, but it might signal that the division race will soon be over. But I don't know. The good thing is we'll know by noon on Sunday. So you can either put your Bucs stuff away for the year, or you can say double down time. Here it is, because it's a bye week followed by Cleveland for the Bucs on the other side of the Munich trip.
I have to say, I don't think I wouldn't put Bucs gear away.
I would never either. You know.
I know what you mean. But I would also say this. I don't know. They could win 6 games and win the division. So it's like, you got to hold off. You could, hey, you know what would be the funniest thing ever is the opportunity to wear an NFC South Division championship if you win 6 games. How funny. I would wear that one all the time. Because years from now, somebody would be like, didn't you win? Yeah. Division champs, baby.
Right. It only took 6. Yeah, I know. We got the result last night. I mean, it was unlikely with the Chargers game with a couple of fumbles late for Atlanta on Sunday, and then they lose in OT. But then last night was pure NFC South football. That is NFC South football for that ass last night.
It was something to behold. I laughed the whole time. I actually went to bed. That was the universe's way, or the NFL's way of telling me, get a good night's sleep. Just get a good night's rest. There's no reason for you to be up here. What are we doing? I went back and turned on the college game, kind of laid back, flipped back and forth between the college game and the NFL game, was kind of doing that a little bit, fading in out of sleep. Tom, I might have been in bed and sound asleep by 9 p.m. I was Tony Kornheiser this thing. Well, it was rainy all night, all day. It was nothing to do. I was like, listen, just take it to the bed.
I was outside for maybe 2 full minutes yesterday because there was a loud noise on the roof and had to check either side of the house. And that was it.
Good old home ownership.
Yeah. When you're indoors all day, it's easier just to say, you know what? I'm calling it a night.
Well, you're just telling the world. You're like, you know what? I'm punting on this day. I know you're going to tell me we don't get days back, and I'm okay with that. I don't want this one back. I'm going to bed. I will start a new one, fresh, ready to roll tomorrow.
Buddy, the amount of graphic work I played with just because I couldn't go outside yesterday. I'm like, man, I've been in our cloud program for way too long doing this stuff. But yeah.
Libations Friday rolls on. Good to be with you as always. That was Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. Real quick, he took TCU to cover the number. I do think this number is weird. I agree with him there. He took Washington to cover the 13.5 against Oregon. I've been waiting patiently for this thing to get to 14 to play it. He took LSU. He doesn't buy it. It is a sucker bet. We all know this is a sucker bet, but he took LSU. He took FSU to cover it comfortably as my voice leaves me, and he took Seattle to beat the Bucs. ParamountSports.com. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Greg Tish. I want to tell you about my first experience at Pentalpha Jewelry. It was many, many years ago when my grandparents took me up there for a special occasion to buy me a necklace. I still remember how amazing the customer service was. Fast forward to today, and I can still go in there and get the same great customer service at Pentalpha Jewelry. Nothing has changed, not even their location, 2903 Appalachia Parkway, where they've always been. Now sing along with me, and I'll see you at Pentalpha Jewelry. Pentalpha Jewelry, Pentalpha Jewelry, Pentalpha Jewelry, all the real nice guys.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
If you're a business owner of any kind, you need advanced fire protection services. We are AFPS, and we provide high-quality life safety services throughout Northwest Florida, and we've been doing it since 1989, with offices now in Tallahassee. Fire sprinklers, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, hood suppression systems, and emergency exit lights. For all of your life safety equipment, we've got you covered 24/7. We are Advanced Fire Protection Services. For a free life safety system evaluation, visit WeSaveLives.com. That's WeSaveLives.com.
Hey, what's happening, Jeff?
It is always good to see you, Eddie. Had a long day, my man. I was thinking about it. Gordo's was the place to ease the pain, you know? You're frustrated with your job. You're aggravated. Life's beating you down. Maybe your wife's speaking. You got to get out the door.
You know what? Here at Gordo's, man, we welcome everybody. Disgruntled wives, disgruntled husbands, kids running away from home. We'll even give that kid a job. Send them our way.
Go make some money and eat delicious food at Gordo's. It's perfect.
And have a damn good time doing it.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matty Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song, and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We could talk about our feelings.
There's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Libations Friday rolls on, loosey-goosey, kind of loosey-goosey. This was interesting. At the end there, talking with Lee, that was fun. You and I, in talking about Florida State and this offense, and, you know, he picked Florida State to roll big. I saw the piece that Dominic Robinson has for us on warchant.com. I want to invite all you guys, if you haven't seen it, go to warchant.com. This is not shameless promotion. It's really cool. You know, we talked all week long, right after the Florida State-Miami result, about how many times Florida State ran counter and how many times they pulled the guard and the tackle or the tight end added to the mix. It's really a simple play, a fun play, requires a whole lot of what for. And if you can run it, you can dominate teams, humiliate teams, and really it can be the basis for everything you run off of it. And Dominic does a good job in the piece of pointing out that it's the base of the offense for Mike Norvell going all the way back to Memphis. And one of the things that stands out to me, Tom, when we watch that piece, and really it has all year long when we run counter, is it's kind of a guessing game whether or not you're going to get a good block from the tight end or the H-back, right? And we knew early on in Mike Norvell's tenure, and he said it, he talked about just the importance of that position. They got to go get him one. They got to go get a guy that can really play the position to a higher degree, because this is already successful. They're already really good at it. Can you imagine now if you bring in a plus player, a real dual threat, 255-pound, can run, but also can hit you and block and get into you? If you're able to bring a guy like that in, which unfortunately the answer is Dominic Robinson's son. But he is. The answer is Dominic Robinson's son, but it doesn't look like he's going to come to Florida State. There are a lot of reasons for that, whatever. I don't begrudge any kid, but it would be great if he changed his mind. It'd be nice if Dad somehow found a way to rekindle the Florida State fire. I don't know. He's being recruited by Georgia, USC, Ohio State. I got it. But he's that kind of player that I'm talking about. And they don't really have him on the roster. I don't know if Jarrell Power will be that or not. Tom, it's too early in his career. The body type looks good. He's one of these freshmen. I'll just say this. Pretty early on, when you looked at him, you thought that's the right body, but he's got miles to go. He's not anywhere close to playing, at least in my opinion. And there's no shame in that. That's what freshmen, that's a normal thing. But we still don't have that guy. We don't have that guy on the roster.
No, Cam McDonald's been better this season. He only caught his first touchdown pass in garbage time. Well, actually, there is no garbage time against Miami. What am I talking about? None whatsoever. You keep
look at it two ways, Tom. It was garbage time midway through the second quarter.
Yeah.
And everything after that was just fun. Or you could, and what you're talking about, there is no such thing. Yes.
But, if I'm grading his blocking for the year just using the old school eye test and frustration test, it's a C-. It's nothing great. Marquiston's not a great blocker because he doesn't have the speed to get to the point that they need him to, but that could change. He's a hoss, and he's like, they have found good options that can become adequate to maybe plus players in the ACC, maybe. Like Brian Courtney, for example, as a receiving tight end, is going to be a very good player. He caught his first pass against Miami on Saturday night. But if he's ever strong enough to get to the point and make some of these blocks as an H-back, not as a true tight end, because I don't think they would line him up next to a tackle in some of their formations. But if he can be your H-back crossover player, he's going to be very useful because his receiving skills are already through the roof. And he didn't play tight end. He played quarterback. So you're getting him up to speed. They've got some good players that are somewhere between ready-made and project status, and they're getting closer to ready-made, but they don't have that superstar. And I was watching, for example, a lot of the Purdue-Syracuse game this week in the lead up to FSU's game, because I wanted to see when Syracuse was at full strength defensively if they played as soft as they did against Clemson, for example, and they did. So I found that interesting. But Durham, the tight end from Purdue, looks like the bona fide NFL inline tight end who can also break off in the route tree, make good catches, and is a good target for Aiden O'Connell. If we ever get that guy in this offense, oh my goodness, this offense takes off, because then counter is terrifying because you're ready to go block. This guy releases behind you, and it's all day. It's a pick or poison with a zone read, with a read option. No, correct. With a RPO. There we go, the third option. There's so many read options and options. What a modern time we live in. But yeah, an RPO with the tight end is now the play. It's not necessarily about you're looking at a safety to see if the receiver should be the guy you throw to. It's just all near the line of scrimmage. And I love that, because that is an absolute nightmare for guys who can't defend it. A linebacker's too slow and a safety's too small. I want to get to that place with Mike.
Yeah, we've seen teams do that to us. We've seen teams with really good tight ends do that to our linebackers and safeties. And I used to do a SiriusXM show with a former Tennessee Titan offensive tackle whose son was an all-world tight end at Purdue. Purdue tends to produce these kinds of players. My point of that is that once you do get the reputation as being a place, a home, or an offense for that kind of player, it recruits itself. But you have got to be able at this point to prove this. We're getting into proof of concept stuff, right? This is on tape. You've got to find a way to convince these guys. Like, look, do you see this guy that we have running it? Great kid. Love him. Sweetheart of a man, and I'll always be grateful for him to hang in here at FSU during a transitional period of my coaching career. But he ain't you. He's not the guy that can do the things that we're asking him to do. He's a guy that's doing the best he can. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes he just gets in the way long enough. But he's not dominating anybody. You could do that for us. You could do that for us. And if you do that for us, your great reward is not only is that great film, the National Football League, it's also because it shows the duality of your game.
Right.
But the other part of this is that we will reward you off of this. We will get you the ball. We want to get you the ball. Our offense is predicated on it to some degree. We want to throw you the ball, and it's your just reward for all that we're asking you to do in the run game. I really would love to see somebody see it, know enough about it, and go, you know what? That's true. He did it at Memphis. He's doing it at Florida State, and he's doing it with less guys. We'll do it. Let's go.
You see some of the formations that were used in Memphis, and they're crazy compared to what's used here. For example, in Dominic's breakdown, you'll see a lot of pistol formations with the two tights, and that's how Florida State kind of ices the game when they realize that Miami's not going to care to stop our basic run play counter. We're just going to go to that formation. At Memphis, he'll have a two-back with an H-back kind of sitting. It looks like 3 points in a box, and you're looking to close out the box in the backfield. And it's really strange, but it creates angles for agile players, agile tight ends or H-backs. And Coach Norvell talked to Ira this week. He asked him after Tuesday's practice about the fullback position. And Mike responded saying, I don't just like the fullback position. I love the fullback position. And I usually pull a defender in order to be that player, which is why DJ Lundy is the fullback in this offense. But it just goes to show you, I think it speaks to a larger point, that even though Mike Norvell is modern and this offense looks very college because it's in shotgun or pistol pretty much all of the time, or 99% of the time, he has roots in old school football. He likes the old school physicality of running right at you, and that's where he wants to go with his offense. And you don't have to be a 6'7" freak or a 6'6" freak like somebody out in Arizona that we might know, the son of Dominic Robinson. In order to be that guy in this offense, you've just got to be a combo player. You can be a little undersized and still whoop ass in the system. I think about the Millard brothers at Oklahoma years ago. Those guys weren't all-world Travis Kelce-looking players coming out to the NFL, but they were those Swiss Army knife players that had good hands, a good understanding of how to block in space, and then you could line them up anywhere because the play usually followed where they went, whether it was a run or a pass.
Oklahoma did use it really well. You're right. I remember being jealous of that. I mean, we have been longing for an elite level tight end for some time here. When you watch Saturday football, a couple things here. First of all, when you watch Brock Bowers, you realize that some NFL team is going to be very, very fortunate when they get the most freakish tight end I've ever seen. I mean, that's the dumbest. Think about the lottery that Brock Bowers won, the genetic lottery, and also the good fortune of being from where he's from. Like, that dude has had a good life. He's had a good life on and off the field. I'm fairly certain of it. Now, that said, if you get a guy, it doesn't have to be Brock Bowers, but if you get a guy with a unique skill set like that, this offense goes to another level, and it's so exciting. And what you were talking about with Mike Norvell's roots, this is true of every modern gimmick, or you don't even have to call it a gimmick, just unique formation, okay? All of them are rooted in the simplest of concepts. And when you talk to, or you read about it, so The Education of a Coach, Bill Belichick, great book. Halberstam wrote it. Unfortunately, Halberstam's dead. Anyhow, that point, I miss his books. But the point would be, like, everything was rooted in, like, Navy's offense, Navy's defense, just the simplest of things, because his dad was a scout. And when you go through and read the stuff that the principles of what he believes and why, and of leverage and all this other stuff, like, when you get into that, you're like, okay, so we can take things that were being run in 1932 and you just skew them a little bit, but the principles are the same. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun is the point. Like when the Wildcat made a comeback, old coaches got so excited. You'd hear them breaking it down. They'd be brought in as guests to break down the Wildcat because they played in 1957. And they'd be like, oh, let me tell you how it works. And they would get so excited they'd come on the air. But in truth, like they do versions of the Wildcat throughout college football currently, throughout Pee Wee football, of course, throughout high school football, and you see it in the NFL. Guys still run it, and it's variations of it where they'll throw the ball out of it sometimes now. Even if you keep a quarterback out of that formation, you can. It's fascinating. Just there's nothing new under the sun is the point. Like it's all rooted in old school principles of angles and leverage.
Yeah, and the thing I love about this offense, or where it wants to go philosophically, is we're not looking for 285-pound offensive linemen, but we are looking for 300-pound offensive linemen that can move. It's not about just going straight ahead. And we want to be able to do that, but we want you to be nimble as a defender. We want to put you in conflict at all times. You know, it's easy to look at the read option and say that you put somebody in conflict, and that's easy for everybody to see. But if you're a linebacker against this scheme, we're not reading off of you, but you're in conflict. If you've got to worry about counter every play, oh my God, the headache that must be in order to match the principles, the leverage, to make sure that you get inside when you're supposed to, stay outside for leverage when you need to. Because if you cheat by one step, you're in trouble. It just puts so much pressure on the defense because it can go any which way at the snap of the football. We don't run a ton of power, but we run a hell of a lot of counter. Then you run that with outside zone, and you're worried about this one thing that Florida State's been able to run, and now they're getting good enough to run a second thing consistently. I'll bet you, too, that this weekend, tomorrow night's game against Syracuse, probably features more things that are just straight ahead. If you take a look at the film against Purdue, they refused to run the ball, which was odd about that game. Rewatching it, it was a crazy Saturday afternoon slate that day, and it was an awesome game. But now watching it for purposes of scouting against Syracuse, Purdue refused to run the football, and if you watch a lot of these runs, they're surging the line of scrimmage 3 to 4 yards, just straight back into the guts of the linebackers. Clemson did the same thing. Notre Dame did the same thing. The thing I love most about that Miami game, I'll repeat it again, is that Florida State found something that worked, and they didn't get too cute and say, well, we can do this other thing. Screw that. If it's working, we're going to run it over and over and over again. I'd be interested to see what kinds of runs they break out against Syracuse, but I'll bet there'll be more straight ahead stuff because that's what the film begs for Florida State to do tomorrow.
Yeah, and this is where when you have a coach like Jeff Brom at Purdue, what is he? Well, he's a former quarterback. That's what he is. He wants to throw the ball. And people, I guarantee you, folks at Purdue are like, Jeff, this is his Achilles heel. Every coach has one, and it's rooted usually in what their background is. And Jeff Brom's a really bright guy and a very good coach. He's just a very good coach, period. Louisville would do well to go get him somehow. But anyhow, that said, because that's where he played. But Jeff Brom wants to. He can't help himself. When you watch Purdue football, I have a weird liking for Purdue football, as I've acknowledged over the years. Yeah. I tend to, when I'm doing the channel flip thing, Purdue's on. I can't help myself. I don't know why. But they will do something well on the ground. You'll watch an entire drive where clearly Jeff has said, okay, we got to run the ball. I know we got to run the ball. I've been told we got to run the ball. And they'll do that. And then the next time they get the ball, does he go back to it? Oh, hell no. We're chucking it around the lot. And you're like, man, come on.
It's like he fills his quota. He's like, all right, I've done that enough for today. Now we get to do what I want.
It's Pee Wee football. All the kids have played?
Right.
Okay, now we can play the 11 we need. Yeah.
I'm going to do what I got to do so I can do what I want to do. But
That's it.
That game was begging for it just because they're 255 across the board, and that's also their scheme. I get it. They're deficient. They scheme around it. They do a good job, but they want you to throw into that second level. And that's without Williams, their best corner, who's out for the season. It doesn't matter. If they're only rushing 3 or if they've got a passive box, 6 people there, sometimes 5.5, you got to run it right at him, baby. That's what you got to do. If you drop back and Jordan Travis on Saturday is waiting and waiting and waiting because there's a 3-man rush, just hope that the ball hits the turf because they set good traps down there. This is a game about patience and taking what the defense gives to you. The more flares we throw or checkdowns we throw where he's looking and says no and throws it to Toafili or whoever, that is a moment that you should clap tomorrow because that's all they cover very well and they tackle very well in space.
So this is about patience. We talked about it all week long. It's about patience. You're giving another example where patience is necessary. It is the lone concern I have with our offense against their defense. I have other concerns on the other side of the ball. But one of the things that I would say about that is when you get rolling the way Florida State's rolling now, and things come easy because you really have repped them so many times that you have a great understanding of what you're trying to do, and guys are succeeding. And now you got Trey Benson running the way that he should run, like a big man that he is, and you've got guys who are feeling it now. They're starting to think, okay, we can put it on people. We can do this every week. Feels good. I mean, we've been toiling for a long time. Now we can go out here and unsheath, if you will, have a good time on the football field. That said, you do have to be careful because you can get cocky. You can get, it's not an arrogance that you just think you're better than everybody else. It's that you're succeeding. You're having positive reinforcement repeatedly. And so now, who doesn't like positive reinforcement? We do from the time we're that big, right? So it's going to lend itself to you just taking that extra risk because you've been rewarded. So at some point, you're going to have to dial that back in, and Mike's going to have to get into his ear. If you've got 8 people in coverage, check it down. 8 people in coverage. No NFL quarterbacks don't throw well against 8 people in coverage. So come on, man.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd say, too, is that this is also something you just brag about with our offense, and it's so strange and it's wonderful. But if we throw it quickly to the perimeter, tunnel screens I don't think work against the 3-3-5 because you're going back into the teeth of the middle. Stay away from the middle of the field. That's basically what you want to do. You want to hit it in the run game, and then you want to stay away from it in the pass game if at all possible. If we throw bubbles and flares, they have not seen, Syracuse, a group of receivers that can block. They have not seen a group that can block like this group. So if we throw 4 bubbles in the first 2 drives, I love the game plan. Because you let Johnny Wilson and McLean and Kentron and whoever else go to work blocking on the perimeter. They come up and they tackle well. That's what the tape says. They haven't seen a group that blocks quite like we do in the perimeter. I hope the screens we run aren't towards the middle of the field. I hope they're towards the edge of the field.
Hour number 2 forthcoming. By the way, my mom picked up a game on me last week. She did get that Baltimore win. She picked up 1 game.
Down to 10?
I think it's down to 10, yeah. She picked up 1 game. She'll join us in the next hour. We'll get our picks in. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV.
Can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
The cooler temperatures are finally here. Thank goodness. Summer is now in our rearview mirror. With the cooler temperatures, we're going to need some place to warm up. Hearth and Patio can help you with that. Whether it's a fireplace, a fire pit, or even warming up while you're grilling for your family, Hearth and Patio can help you with all of these. Give them a call today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning, and they keep us warm.
At Epps Decorating Center, we're your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. We're your store for quality with brilliant and durable paints in a variety of sheens and thousands of colors. We're your store for service with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. We're your local experts, and we're here to help with all your painting projects. Benjamin Moore, available at Epps Decorating Center with 2 locations in Tallahassee. Find a store near you and visit EppsDecorating.com. That's EppsDecorating.com.
Hurry in to Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin and save up to $700. Plus, get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase. Or shop Tempur-Pedic and get a $300 instant gift. Mattresses and bases are in stock for fast delivery. With our Love Your Mattress guarantee, get the lowest price and 120 nights to sleep on it. Only at Mattress Firm. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
The best part about taking ZQuil Pure Z's Sleep Plus Next Day Energy at night is actually the next morning. I wake up alert with none of the grogginess from taking too much melatonin. Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy is a bilayer tablet with immediate release melatonin and extended release B vitamins to help me fall asleep naturally and wake refreshed. It's my secret weapon for a great night's sleep and a great morning.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Can't beat that.
ZQuil Pure Z's Gummies. Sleep better, wake your best.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
I can't tell you the joy I felt in my heart watching their fan base weep as Coach K and that Duke team lose at Cameron Indoor by a lot to their most hated of rivals, who took an extra measure of joy and exuberance and certainly demonstrated it with each and every passing minute in which it became obvious that the Blue Devils would not prepare.
Well, and it also reminds you that Coach K can just straight up be an ass, like a total self-love, machine of an a-hole. That's what he is at times. Now, there are other moments where he will praise other players and other programs for doing well. Well, he likes winners. He doesn't like when you fail him, and that's how he sees it. You have failed me. Well, there are countless examples. He had the back issue years ago, and he wouldn't let the players
wear the uniform.
Wear the uniform with the logo.
Yeah, remember that? We were laughing about that.
He was laid up in bed, and they were summoned to his house. This is a real story. Yeah. They were summoned to his house, only for him, bedridden as he was, to say, "You don't deserve to wear our logo." Yeah. Like, what? And then Life Spectator put it in the chat last hour. He forced them to sit on the visitors' bench. The visitors' bench after they lost. And he apologized for them because they were such a disappointment and they ruined the day. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm so glad it went down the way that it did. And for North Carolina fans, that's got to count almost like a Final Four because of what they did to that program that day and that building being like a funeral. It was amazing.
Yeah. That will never go away. I mean, that will always be there. They'll always have that at the bar to bring up. They'll always be able to go, yeah, what happened at the going away party? And you're right. It was evident in the speech that he gave in which he attempted to be humble and gracious, but it was too much for him. He was pissed. He was livid. Now, there's a part of me that gets that. I mean, to go out there and to lay that egg in that game, even less so about, hey, it's my send-off, it's my final game, but it's your rival, your arch rival in Cameron, and you got an ass beat. Continue to pan the crowd. Please show me that. Oh, there she is, crying, weeping over. She's still crying. She was crying with 4 minutes left in the game. What are we doing? Then there were the forlorn, distant stares from the former players, sort of a how dare you guys let us down to this magnitude.
And the current players like, thanks for dogging us. Like, you're really pulling no punches right now when this should just be a grand ceremony of a legacy. Instead, you failed me. Shut up. Let me say what I'm going to say. Like, what? Get my family out here. Keep them away from the players.
I don't want their suck to rub off on them.
Mickey, come here, Mickey.
Oh, it was so good.
Right here in our hometown is a local spot where you can take a break from all your worries. A place where everybody knows his name is Smitty's Tap House and Grill. Smitty's deep appreciation for fine craft beers and tasty bar treats sets the stage as the ideal local neighborhood pub. Want to know more? Just visit Smitty'sTapHouse.com to check out the full menu. Come see us at Smitty's Tap House and Grill on Thomasville Road, just north of Cary Forest Parkway. You'll be glad you came, where everybody knows his name.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com. Hour number 2, Libations Friday, rolling on. Good to be with you. I'm Jeff. Tom is here. He's here, I assure you. Little reminder, pre-recorded, as if you couldn't tell, we're at the house again. He's at his, I'm at mine. It'd be weird if you were at mine, like in the other room. You could do that at some point. Or like if all of a sudden in the middle of while I was talking, you see Tom on the screen and you see my head behind him, like, hey, I'm really right here. I'm really right here. Anyhow, that said, that's not the case. I am obliged to tell you that this is pre-recorded per FCC, but it's on the same day. It was earlier, just before we would normally come on the air, so we're not missing anything juicy, we don't think. And if we do, forgive us. Happy Veterans Day, everybody. Happy Veterans Day. Rolling on Libations Friday this hour. My mother will join us. She picked up a game. I just mentioned that at the end of the last hour, but just a thought that maybe she's getting on a roll. We'll see. I like to lure you in. I don't know if that's the case or not. I bet we both lost last night's game, as I did take Atlanta to beat Carolina. I haven't asked her yet who she picked, so she could pull the wool over my eyes here and be like, no, I took Carolina, Jeffrey, even though I would suspect that was a lie. But my mother's not a liar, so I don't know.
Yeah, maybe if it's an NFC South clash, a classic one, you should just pick the team with the worst record. You know, maybe that's the way to go, because it seems to be the way that it works in this division this year, that it is the quest for 7-10. Because I would set the over-under on what's going to carry the division at this point at 7.5 wins, and that might be a little heavy to the top side of it.
One of my favorite things about how these things play out, I remember many moons ago, so do you. New Orleans was a juggernaut, and Seattle won the division with a sub-500 record out west.
Yeah. Yep.
And New Orleans traveled to play because they weren't a division winner or whatever it might have been, or the better, I don't know how it worked, but they had to go to Seattle. And Seattle, Marchand, the famous run, took place, and that place went nuts, yes. And Seattle beat New Orleans. It doesn't really matter the record. That's one good thing and bad thing about the NFL.
Yeah.
You can be wholly middling or below average in the National Football League in a given year. If the division works out in your favor for whatever reason, in this case, the reason would be the NFC South is garbage. And if you could relegate the NFC South this year, you would. But that said, you have a team that wins the division, and if they get healthy at the right time and they get to host a playoff game, you kind of don't want to play them.
Yeah, agreed. That happened. They weren't under 500, I don't think. But
the Steelers,
when the Bucks played Washington.
Oh, that's right.
Out of 2020, that game was nip and tuck because Heineke played out of his mind. He was the highest rated quarterback that weekend. But I recall all those years ago, the game that you're speaking of, because the next game that night, that was a wild card Saturday. The next game that night was Mark Sanchez and the Jets traveling to play Peyton Manning and the Colts in Indianapolis, and the Jets won the football game.
Yes, they did.
The goofiest Saturday. Mark Sanchez, for all his foibles and butt fumbles and all that kind of stuff, beat Belichick and Brady in Foxborough and beat Peyton Manning in Indianapolis in his career. That is worth something at least.
Didn't Sanchez, if I'm not mistaken, I think Sanchez may have taken the Jets to not one but two AFC Championship games.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So the narrative on that guy is that he was a bum. He wasn't a bum. He was okay when he was healthy. He was never great, but he was okay. He didn't stink. He understood the concepts and could get the ball out, and they could win some games. Yeah, that is interesting. Well, we'll worry about the NFL later, but last night's game, good God, I hope you didn't watch it. I hope you took our advice. You took it to the bed. Maybe you watched some college football. Maybe you got caught up on some movies. Maybe you watched All Quiet on the Western Front on Netflix. It's really good. I suggest you do that. Maybe you caught up on some documentaries. I do that often as well. So I'm in the midst of about a documentary roll, by the way. When I get done with this run, Tom, I'm going to tell you about like 15 that I watched that are all really good. I already told you about the one out in Los Angeles, but this is really, really good run for me right now. I'm in a good place and well rested and fired up and ready to go. And Florida State, I think, is going to play really well tomorrow night against Syracuse. And this has been a good week. It's been a quiet week. I like quiet weeks. I like to hear nothing of any sort of off the tracks behavior, conversations, weirdness, or anything like that. Like even the thing that happened with Sam McCall feels like that's been calm down. Everything's cool. Yeah. Mike used it as a way to prop him up a little bit there. That is a conversation in and of itself. Mike Norvell, the coach that we're always talking about, is now most assuredly, I guess things could go south, but is in a really good position, right? People, I think, have kind of come over in their way of thinking with the way that this team's played. They certainly will if Florida State wins tomorrow night. They've got a gift-wrapped win, it would seem to me, the following week. At that point, you will have won 4 straight. People will be feeling really good about the program. You'll welcome in your rival on a Friday and hopefully get that W against the Gators. And at that point, there's no doubt he'll get an extension and he will have won over the vast majority of the fan base. Still work to do, but he will have won over the vast majority of the fan base. What I like is as you watch the maturation of a coach, you watch a coach who's very young. Sometimes I have to remind myself he's younger than me. He's a coach that has made some mistakes right before our very eyes, both in game management, at times maturity, you name it. We've seen it, right? It's going to happen if you like him, and I do, and you think he's a good coach, and I do, and you do believe that he's only going to get better through these lessons he's learning because he's very observant. He wants to win. He's desperate. He's a hard worker. He wants to see this thing through. He gets it. Then you're okay with living with the bumps in the road. I understand that our fan base spends a lot of time telling people this is not a learn-on-the-job job. This is not, we're Florida State. This is not Fresno State. You don't get to come here and figure it out and lose games along the way because you were either too immature or whatever it might be. No, that's not true anymore. It wasn't true at the time we hired him. At the time we hired him, we had to be willing to watch a young coach who's clearly good mature further on the job at Florida State. And our fans hate it when I say that. They don't agree with me. They don't believe Florida State's that job. Whenever he does make mistakes that eventually costs us a game, they are the first in the chat to say, see, this is what happens when you hire a young coach from a non-Power 5 conference who's too young to get it. He's learning on the job. That's not what we do here. It is what we do here. You got to humble yourself. We weren't good enough. We were losing coaches left and right. You had to bring in a guy whose upside was great, but whose maturity level we would watch play out. While we're watching it, it's kind of fun. It's more fun when you win games, but see the LSU game. It is kind of fun, though, because you are seeing growth. You're also seeing growth off the field, where he's dealing with players and success and frustration, and some higher profile recruits expect to play sooner. And a guy like Sam McCall, a huge recruit, well thought of, that guy comes in and probably expects to play more, especially in a blowout, and he's frustrated that he hasn't. So I just think that the way Mike is handling that situation, the way he's handled some others, is proving both maturity-wise, also game management-wise, also player development-wise, all of that. We're watching it play out right before our eyes in a good way, in a real good way.
Yeah, as long as he's not a kick returner. Don't give him that reward. Just keep him off of kick returns. That would be my number one thing with McCall. The thing about Mike that I really appreciate is he never shies away from whatever criticism there may be levied against him as a play caller or the team, because he understands what the expectations are. So he doesn't say, woe is me. Guys, we're figuring it out along the way here. Plus, the roster is not where we need it to be. He never says that. He says, I know what the standard is. And if we're trying hard and you want to applaud us for that, so what? That's the bare minimum that we can do. He doesn't take the built-in excuses that he could have for the mess he inherited and the COVID year. He doesn't take those and run with them. He just wants to progress the operation, move it forward, and adapt, and also play at the level that should be expected here at Florida State. He doesn't shy away from rivalry games. He doesn't shy away from expectations. That's important because sometimes coaches love to play the little violin on a Monday after a loss because, well, look at this. We had this guy go down. What do you want from me? Basically, they say that's the attitude of what do you want from me? He's already very mature in that regard. The maturity we're talking about is in the course of 60 minutes. And for me, tomorrow's game, I think, is about reeling the team back in a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not about pumping them up. It's about reeling them in because on Tuesday's practice, at the first portion of Tuesday's practice, I thought they were sloppy. There were a lot of flags being thrown in multiple drills. They got it together and they finished strong. But then in Wednesday's post-practice comments, Coach Norvell hardly ever presses the button and says, I thought we were sloppy. Usually it was a good Wednesday. It was a good Tuesday. He noted that they didn't come out and they didn't practice very well to start on Wednesday. So I'm looking for him, specifically him and his body language tomorrow night, to be somebody who's making sure that things are tightened up and people are focused, because I imagine that the film they've seen from Syracuse the last few weeks is not inspiring. And so he's going to have to make sure that they ratchet back up because Syracuse will make you earn the win. Doesn't mean that they're a great football team. Doesn't mean you can't run away from them, but they're going to make you earn it. So hopefully they go up there and do the right things, and the process is all in place for tomorrow.
I've said all week long, Syracuse is a team that is kind of likable in the sense that they're competitive. They're very competitive. We've seen some regression, both statistically and otherwise, right? Like that they were getting all of the breaks. See the turnover margin. They were getting all the breaks in crucial situations. See the Purdue game. They were getting a lot of things that aided their 6-0 start. And we knew that there would be some crashing back down to earth moments for that team. They're just not talented enough to sustain that. And that's happened. But all along, they're competitive. I mean, they're going to fight you. They're going to fight like hell, and they're going to hit you. They're physical. They're a physical team. So, yeah, you got to go earn it. That's correct. I think it's important. What we're talking about here with a coach, and I was thinking about this, Tom, while you were talking, you were bringing up the example of when a coach has to reel his team back in. This kind of gets to a point where with coaches, once you've established, when you bring in a new coach, at least us in the press, you're trying to get a sense of who he is, what makes him tick, what kind of leader is he, how organized is he, what do practices look like, what's the central messaging, is it consistent? All these things lend itself to giving us context to come on the air and talk to you guys about it or to write about it on warchant.com. When you establish at some point along the way through evidence that it's a good coach, he is organized, his messages are consistent, his entire staff echo those sentiments. The players have begun to buy into that. They play really hard. There's no more malcontents. The locker room is fixed. Morale is better. Guys are playing really hard. So when you go from there to, okay, how quickly can he get his guys in here? How quickly can this team start winning the games against teams that have like talent? Okay, so that's another step. And then there's another step after that. You're always grading. At some point, you get to a place where a coach is elite and you leave it alone and you just talk about the games on Saturday. Yep. You just talk about the games on Saturday. But during that process, one of the things I always look at, and this is something that can tell you a coach is fully arrived or a coach is on the decline. Somebody that's already there is beginning to fade. And that is when they don't know their team. They don't understand the psyche, and they don't tap in to those emotions and those moments to get where you can push the right buttons. Jimbo Fisher at the end didn't know his team. And I cite numerous examples of this. Sideline interviews do matter before games. And if you listen or watch closely, you'll get evidence a lot of times as to where that coach's head's at, what he thinks his team is prepared to do. Go watch Kirby Smart before that Tennessee game. He knew damn well they were about to beat that ass. He had them ready. He had them angry that Tennessee was more well thought of than them. He had them frustrated that Tennessee was the talk of the town, averaging 50 points a game. He was reminding everybody, it's our defense that won a national championship a year ago. You do realize we're playing here at home with at least 7 professional football players to be on the defense. This thing's getting shut down today. He knew that. He said it without saying it. Jimbo was, before the BC game when we got blown out, sure, we were going to play a great game. When we went on the road and I predicted to get boat raced by Louisville, said all kinds of crazy things about how ready his team was to play that weekend. And he knew damn well they weren't ready to play. And you could just tell he didn't read his team anymore. The ship had sailed. The plane had crashed into the side of the mountain. So it's important when you have a Mike Norvell maturing right before our eyes, team ready to play every week, playing hard, playing smart, winning games, getting the desired results. Is he still with his finger on the pulse emotionally, mentally with this football team? Because I think you're right. I think he's got to humble him this week. I think he's got to tell him, hey, man, if you're not prepared to go up there and play an 8 o'clock game against a Syracuse team that won't quit, that will fight you, that is physical, you could find yourself in a dogfight late in the third quarter. And when that happens, the pressure shifts to us, not them. He's not going to say this, but he's got to know it, right? He knows it's much more important right now that Mike Norvell win this game as opposed to Dino Babers. Whatever, Dino. I mean, right, he's a placeholder. I mean, and the reason I say that is Dino's had some success. He's had some miserable failures. He's had some success. He's had some miserable failures. But the standards at Syracuse are much lower than they are at Florida State. So, the stakes are higher for Mike Norvell than they are for Dino Babers. Dino Babers goes to a bowl this year. He had a good year. Period. And I'm not knocking him. I'm saying that's a good year. Mike's got to show that we've taken another big step forward, and he's on the cusp of it. So reading your team this week and pushing the right buttons based on those emotions they either have or don't have, they're either the sloppiness you saw or didn't see, the readiness that you sense or don't sense is going to be huge. I think it's a great point.
Yeah, if Schrader plays, and this is, the qualifier of all qualifiers, but if he does, and you're up, let's say 10-0 or 14-3 or something along those lines, I want to see how they continue to play, because when Miami was in that position last week and we threw the interception even at 14-3, that drive was it. If they got off their goal line, maybe there's a pulse, but they didn't. Jamie Robinson ended up making a really good play. That's where Van Dyke got hurt. But Jamie Robinson made a very good play on Brown one-on-one coming off the goal line. They went empty, which means that they're going to run it, and he made the stop. They punt 21-3. That game's over. That game is more over than Georgia Tech was in the second quarter.
Yes.
Syracuse, it won't necessarily be over. So if Schrader is playing, what I'm going to be looking to see is, let's say that Florida State does insert itself early. Are you still going to stay engaged? Because you didn't have to the last 2 weeks. But I think you will this week if Garrett Schrader plays. But if he doesn't, then this is going to look, I think, a whole lot like the 2 weeks prior.
You're tapping into a fear that I have in this game. Syracuse doesn't quit. We knew Miami was a bitch. So there's two things here. Syracuse is going to continue to fight, right? Was that Siri?
Yes, because of Syracuse. Yeah. She was weighing in on your comment about Miami.
So Syracuse is the opposite of Miami in that sense. They'll fight. Secondly, they can be very physical in the run game. How good is this defense? We don't know. We just don't know how good they are. Statistically, Florida State's defense is pretty good. I'm saying I'm not a believer. I don't believe that's true. I don't think they're good. I think they're okay. They might even be pretty good. I don't think they're close to elite. I don't think they're a top 20 defense like some of the statistical measures say they are. I don't think so. I don't. Syracuse may not be the one that exploits it. Syracuse may not have the weapons to be able to, but they'll have the what for and the want to, and they'll fight and be physical. And again, I just wonder if we struggle to stop the run, we may not struggle to stop the run. Fabian Lovett is back. It changes the defense. I agree. But if Syracuse gets the run game going, the problem you have is it keeps your offense off the field. And so somebody might say, well, I think we're going to score against Syracuse. Not if you don't have the ball. And it puts a lot of pressure on the offense if Syracuse sustains some drives and flips field position even. So that is my lone fear in this game.
Okay, so here's the qualifier again. If Schrader plays, they won't be able to run between the tackles, I don't think. They don't. Their blocking this year, at least in the ground game, has been weak. And that's where I should probably check myself when I say they don't feature Sean Tucker as much anymore. I think he's good enough to make guys miss, a la what Dalvin did in 2014 when there was somebody in the backfield on every other freaking snap. Or, 2016 when there was somebody in the backfield every other snap. So I think they're going to be able to stop that portion of the run game. But if Schrader plays, it brings a whole new element, and you can read off of a Jared Verse or somebody like a Patrick Payton and then get to the next level and see if we can tackle in space. Also, that's a large body. You've got to decide to come up and be physical to tackle Schrader. If he's not available, then again, I think this whole thing implodes. But if he does play, I think that's where the ground attack would come from. It's not in standard running between the tackles. I think we would hold up against that. I do think the defense has improved. But the thing that Syracuse is going to test one way or the other is the perimeter defense when they're throwing little quick numbers to either the tight ends or to Tucker. And do you diagnose that correctly? Are your eyes in the right place? Because if there's one place I don't believe that Florida State has improved, it's at linebacker beyond the starting two. You know, we had talked about that an awful lot. Go ahead.
That's not even an opinion. That's fair. That's a fact. They're not much better than they were outside those starting two guys. Those starting two guys are pretty good, but
right.
That's what you got.
Like Gant is playing a lot for a reason. It's because these other solutions we were looking for just aren't
there
out, and our eyes are in the wrong place all the freaking time. And there's a specific player that happens with. And if you do that against either a read option game or the quick throws to the perimeter because you get caught in the wash or you buy some sort of play action up the middle, then that's how they'll hit you and gash. What looks like a simple play turns into a gain of 12, and you go, God, dog it. Are you kidding me?
Correct.
So that's the place where I still believe we're weak. I think the secondary has improved. I think they look a whole lot better with a front four that's completely healthy. So I think those two things work in tandem, and we feel better about the defense one way or the other. But if Schrader plays, then the quarterback run, I think, opens up some other things, and they exploit the linebacker level.
I'll say this, and we'll wrap the segment. I do believe Schrader's going to play. It does seem to me that he's going to play. I don't feel like that there's a false sense of security that they have up at Syracuse right now. They're kind of hinting at the fact that he had strong reps this week. So I think he's going to play. If he doesn't play, then that opens up all kinds of speculation about what's going on. But I don't really care what's going on at Syracuse. I just think he's going to play. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. If you're hearing this right now and you or someone you know is active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a teacher, turn up the volume and listen to this. My friend Shannon with Legendary Home Loans has a hometown hero loan program designed to make a difference to those who make a difference. When it's time to buy a new home, he will waive all lender fees for all hometown heroes. That's a $1,600 value right out of the gate. Also, if you decide to use their preferred title company for their closing, you'll be saving another $600. That's $2,200 in discounts right off the top. That's like 20 tanks of gas in your car. And today, more than ever, it's important to save as much money as you can, wherever you can. So if you or someone you know is active military, veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a school teacher, and looking to buy a new home, choose Shannon Young, Legendary Home Loans, and ask about their Hometown Heroes program. Call 844-FSU-LOAN or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Clean, renewable energy means fresher air, healthier residents, new green jobs, and a stronger, more resilient community. How we get there is up to you. Share your input today to help shape the Tallahassee of tomorrow. Take the Clean Energy Survey at talgov.com.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
I'll second-guess dinners with friends because they can be interrupted by diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or oily stools. It turns out I have EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which means I'm missing the enzymes needed to digest food. My doctor prescribed Creon, pancrelipase, an oral prescription medication that replaces pancreatic digestive enzymes. Creon treats EPI due to cystic fibrosis, chronic pancreatitis, pancreatectomy, or other conditions.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall. If you're allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Creon is the #1 prescribed EPI treatment. Ask your doctor about Creon for EPI and visit creoninfo.com or call 800-633-9110 to learn more. That's CREONinfo.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
It's time once again. We'll bring Mom in on a Libations Friday, loosey-goosey edition of the show. She's actually on. This time you get to see my mom. You guys have seen her before, but you'll see her again here. And I should note, Mama gained a game last week. She's now down, I think, just 10. I don't know. I think the graphic was fixed. I think we have a graphic or something along those lines that Tom will post here, and I'll look at it, and you'll look at it, and then we'll end up playing the sounder and all that good stuff. So it's time for all of it. Tom, I ask you to do. Go, you hit your thing. Go for it.
And now for another edition of the Family Pick. Nick.
Go to your room! Ma, the meatloaf!
Take it away, Jeffrey.
How good is that? We now have an actual little build up for and a graphic for the picks segment. Well, let's welcome in Mom right now. Hey, Mama, how are you?
I'm great. We're getting really fancy. I couldn't believe it.
I know. Well, I appreciate you. For my mom, folks, this is pretty early, so here we go. She's a night owl.
Yeah, full disclosure. This is not really Jeff's mom, really. Well, it is, but, I normally look a little better than this.
You look fine, Mom. All right, so you gained a game on me last week. You're only down 10. I know. You're only down 10. Are you ready for the picks? You ready?
I guess so.
Quick question. I lost last night. I had Atlanta.
God. I had the Panthers. It's right here on my sheet.
Oh, my goodness gracious. She brought receipts. Mom had picked it on the sheet, right?
This is the old-fashioned way.
What made you pick Carolina?
I don't know. I picked Atlanta last week, and they didn't. I said, that's it. I'm done with them. I thought maybe, remember I said last week, I thought maybe they were starting to get their act together a little bit. And I thought, well, I'm just going to throw caution to the wind.
Well, you picked up another game on me last night, so now you see we've adjusted. If you look at your screen, Mom, it's down to 9 now. It's down to 9.
I'm going to tell you, this is quite fancy.
All right, so here we go.
Okay. I'm ready.
Seattle at Tampa Bay in Germany.
I know. This game makes me nervous. Seattle is playing, it's funny. They started out at the beginning of the year not doing good at all, and now Geno Smith seems to be doing all right. So I can't decide now what to do, but I picked the Bucks.
Okay, I'm going to take Seattle, and we're going to have that different, and I hope you win and lessen the amount of the comeback.
I'm afraid of this game, and I think I'm just going to – I don't know. I'm very worried about it, but I think you may win that game. But I'm just going to stick with my Bucks.
Vikings at Bills.
Now that's going to be a game. But now I have a question about this game. I don't know if Josh Allen is playing.
We don't know either.
Oh, well, that's
50-50.
That makes a huge difference.
Yes, it does.
I mean, if he's not playing, I'm picking Minnesota. If he's playing, I'm picking Buffalo.
All right, so we'll write that in as a contingency pick. I'll let you do that because we don't know at the time of the game right now, at the time that we're recording this show. And that is fair because in the real world, if I'm betting a game, I'm going to damn well know whether the quarterback's playing. So I agree with you, by the way. If Josh Allen plays, I'm picking the Bills. If he doesn't play, I'm picking the Vikings. So we're in agreement there. It doesn't really matter. We're going to be on the same side either way.
Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah, because I even checked about that late last night, and they didn't know. So I was like, well, I don't know what to do.
Lions at Bears.
Oh, I picked the Bears. I don't know why.
I picked the Bears too.
Okay.
Jaguars at Chiefs.
Oh, Chiefs.
Browns at Dolphins.
Yeah, that's a hard one too. I picked Miami. They're at Miami, so that's why I picked them.
They're also better. I took Miami. That's a good call. I love how beholden you are to this sheet, Mom.
I know. I know, because I have to make sure that I remember who I picked.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right. Texans at Giants.
Giants.
Saints at Steelers.
That's another one that I don't know about. And I picked the Steelers. But
I think I'm going to take the Saints.
They didn't do right by you last week.
They sure didn't. They're not any good, but the Steelers, I think the Steelers are terrible.
Well, I know, and the Steelers don't really have they have that new young quarterback, but I mean, that's the thing. But I just think New Orleans is terrible.
I'm going to take New Orleans.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Broncos at Titans.
Titans.
Colts at Raiders.
Oh, yeah. God, isn't that a terrible game?
Putrid.
I don't think anybody's going to watch that game. Indy at the Raiders. I took the Raiders.
I guess I'll take the Raiders. This is awful. You're right.
Awful. I don't know why we have games like that.
Packers hosting the Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Cardinals at the Rams. Another dreadful game.
That's another dreadful game. I took the Rams. I don't really know why. That's a terrible game.
It is. I don't care who wins. I don't like either one of these teams. They both suck. I'll take the Rams, but it's a coin flip. I don't know.
It is a coin flip.
Chargers at 49ers.
Yeah, I took the 49ers.
Good game. Me too. Commanders at Eagles.
Eagles.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. Those are our games.
That's it? We picked them all?
I think we did.
Holy smokes. That went by quick.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. So we have what do we have? Two different. You took Seattle. Oh no. Well, we had three because you had Atlanta, but Seattle and New Orleans.
That's right. You did remind me that I had Atlanta. I lost that game last night. Yes. You took the Bucks. I took the Seahawks. I took the Saints. You took the Steelers.
Yes, I did. And I don't feel good about my Bucks pick, but I'm just hoping that they're gonna get on a roll.
Mom, I love you with all my heart. Thank you for using modern technology and joining us this morning.
I love my segment. I'm so excited about it. If we do it again, I promise I'll look better.
You look fine, Mom. I love you. I'll see you later.
Love you too. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's Mom. She did a great job. I'm proud of her. That's a StreamYard. She got on there without a problem. Knew what we were talking right there. Camera's a little antiquated. But that's okay. We'll come back, react in a moment. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV.
It provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick. Professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458, 800-481-1458, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Every great construction project, whether it's a new addition or renovation, starts with a plan. At T-Spark, we are excited when our clients contact us to assist with that plan. Through our team of architects, draftsmen, engineers, we can help you with your project's planning and design, potentially saving costs in the long run. Whether you have a residential or commercial project, we look forward to working with you. Call us today or visit us at tsparkconstruction.com. License number CGC 1525336.
Crawfordville Auto and Tire, Crawfordville Auto and Tire. Oh, hey there. I was just singing the praises of Crawfordville Auto and Tire. They do just about everything. Complete engine rebuilds, brakes, shocks, tires, oil change, you name it, they do it. And they offer a 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty on all parts and labor. Most of the time, they can service your car the same day and offer towing to help you get to the shop. Now that's something to sing about. Open weekdays from 7:30 in the morning until 6 at night. Crawfordville Auto Repair and Tires.
Wrapping it up on a Libations Friday. Jeff Cameron Show from the house. Thanks to my mom. Appreciate her. Zaxby's, pregame, postgame, no game at all. Anytime is the right time for Zaxby's platters. Just so long as you are hungry. Feed your team with your choice of traditional or buffalo fingers, or boneless or traditional wings. If you're having trouble deciding, get the best of both worlds, really. Why don't you do that? Choice of traditional or buffalo fingers, boneless or traditional wings. It's a simpler platter, baby. Don't forget that world-famous sauce. Satisfy your chicken craving with Zaxby's platters. Order online or in the app. Your Tallahassee Zaxby's, a proud Golden Chief booster for 17 years. That is a good thing. And our thanks to Zaxby's always. Pre-game show, 7 o'clock. Watch along, 8 o'clock. Post-game show, as always, 10 to 15 minutes after the game wraps. As always, we're certainly hoping that Florida State comes out, does the right thing, takes care of business. It'd be nice to say that you're on a 3-game win streak, getting ready to host Louisiana Lafayette. We build towards that final game against the University of Florida. Kind of intrigued by Florida's game on Saturday against South Carolina. I want to see how they look there. South Carolina at least has a pulse. They don't have 10 guys out due to the flu. Their team hasn't quit on Beamer. So we'll see how that game plays. I do think Florida has too much firepower on offense for South Carolina to win, but I do think it could get interesting. So a lot of question marks for this late in the year. There's a lot of question marks about both those teams. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays. I'm really just trying to ready my mind for the fact that we really have an opportunity, another great opportunity here to garner another win, improve your bowl standing. After all, we are going to a bowl regardless, everybody. But you have the opportunity to improve your bowl standing here. And at the end of the day, I don't know that I will be any less excited to go and cover a bowl at the end of this season than I have been any number of other years where Florida State was playing in a more high-profile position. It's just the long, hard road, guys. The long, hard road back to respectability, the long, hard road back to what we think feels like our rightful place in a postseason, and obviously a long, hard road to credibility. And Florida State is in a position now to really, I mean, look, if you go 9-3, sweep your rivals, beat LSU at the beginning of the year in New Orleans with the country watching, play really, really good games against the teams that you lost. You will. I'll tell you what you'll do. Maybe except for Wake Forest, I really feel like you'll look back and think 12-0 was possible. Think about how nuts that is. I mean, if you're being honest with yourself, you'll start to allow your mind wander a little bit about how they played a little. If you don't blow the lead against NC State and you take care of business of 17-3 in the second half, if you don't, for whatever reason, have a disastrous end and beginning of a half against Clemson, you could win that game. And then I think the only unrealistic one, people will convince themselves that they should have beat Wake. Wake was a lot better on that day. And I know the final score looked better than it was, but Wake really kind of controlled that game.
They did, but if Greedy Vance comes up with that interception that's right in his hands, you've got a chance to either tie the game or take the lead outright in that moment. And I think
you do have a chance. I think that if you go by the way the game was played, if you just like who was in control, I hate ESPN's game control. Wake was in game control for a long time in that game.
They were. The problem with that game, too, is any 50-50 play went their way. And that was the hard part. Let's say that there were 12 50-50 plays. 9 of them went the way of Wake Forest, either because we did something wrong or they just – I think about the third down.
Catch down the side.
Renardo Green. It's to Renardo, and there's nothing wrong. Renardo did nothing wrong whatsoever.
Kid makes a play.
Jesus. Of course he did. Because of course he did.
Well, I do think, it's interesting. Wake's recent losses have had a lot more to do about the slow mesh being collapsed. So you're seeing some interceptions from Hartman. You're seeing some things that he didn't do earlier in the year. I would tell people, go back and watch what's going on in these losses for Wake. That slow mesh is getting blown up.
Right.
So if you want to make the argument that with Fabian Lovett, Florida State would have beaten Wake Forest, I'm here for it. I tend to agree. I think with Fabian Lovett, they collapse that slow mesh far more frequently, and you have an opportunity to kind of force the issue a little bit. But we just never really could. We never really got to him in a traditional sense. And so I just that game. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point I'm making is that Florida State has improved so much that depending on how you look at some of these games, you can argue that Florida State should have finished 10-2. You can maybe argue if they take care of business. Now, they got to beat Syracuse tomorrow, and they got to beat Florida at the end of the year. And those are ifs. I think they'll beat Syracuse tomorrow. They'll be favored to beat Florida at the end of the year. But Florida's got a pulse, and they're very physical, and they've got an elite-level athlete at quarterback. That's a freak of nature at quarterback. If that kid decides to play 100% and be physical and run when he's given the opportunities to run when plays break down, if they use him in design runs because it's the last game of the year, you could have a problem on your hands. He breaks tackles. He's big. He is a miniature version of Cam Newton. And, I wish he would have played better this year so he could take it on down the road, because a fully realized version of Anthony Richardson is a problem for everybody.
Yeah, for sure he is. And this is where I'll reflect once again on the second half of the Miami game where Florida State turned loose a quarterback who could run and run you over a little bit. I'm so glad that film is out there, because I think it better prepares Florida State for the task at hand tomorrow. And then by extension, if Garrett Schrader plays, which is, I think it should be on a t-shirt this week, it'll better prepare Florida State for the test of Anthony Richardson. It's kind of like how playing Jaden Daniels prepared you a little bit better for Malik Cunningham. Two different style of quarterbacks, but when it breaks down and it's about, can I make a man miss? That part of the schedule was so daunting. Reflect on that part of it, not just the losses that are 3 in a row, but you face those two quarterbacks, and Malik and Louisville's had a bit of a renaissance here in the back half of the season, trying to save Satterfield's job. It's a really interesting game to that end tomorrow against Clemson for Louisville, because I think Louisville's offense is, you could probably hang your hat on, is more consistent with Cunningham at quarterback than Clemson's is right now. So that's an interesting game. But when you reflect back on those two quarterbacks that you had to go against and how nightmarish it was to try to get those guys on the ground, it's not the same challenge that you're going to have tomorrow with Schrader if he's available, and also Anthony Richardson. Those guys will just run your ass over. They're elusive, but they're just going to run your ass over. So I'm glad that they faced somebody who's closer to that in Brown against Miami, and they did go down the field on some backups. But I love wins when you could teach. And this was Georgia Tech was, and we circled that as one of the reasons that we thought Florida State would play sharp, because they made a lot of process errors against Georgia Tech, but this final score and the result didn't reflect that. And then here again is an element of a game that you dominate, but that you can learn from. We're better prepared for that. To me, it's just all about being detail sound tomorrow and being invested in doing the little things against a team that's put a lot of bad tape out there in recent weeks, and a team that's also banged up at a lot of positions. They don't have their best cornerback. They've got some issues in the trenches. Their quarterback is not 100%, even if he plays. Don't let that seep into the mindset and put out a Georgia Tech-style first quarter. Go up there and take care of business. And I hope that running counter 30-plus times against Miami instills that idea into the offense that, hey, this is who we are. You know what? If you're not ready to come match us block for block, down for down, well, then you're not ready to beat us. I hope that's what we see tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they've discovered their identity. There's no doubt. I was kind of harping on this all year at the beginning of the season, too, that Florida State wants to be a run-first team. They want to be a run-first team. They want to impose their will. They do it a lot of different ways. For a lot of this year, outside zone was a big part of what they were doing. They were able to run outside zone all night long against Clemson. Obviously, this last game, as you just mentioned it was counter. They don't run a lot of power, but they do run some. They don't always have to introduce Jordan Travis's legs to the equation. But when necessary, you can always – that is your get-out-of-jail-free card, by the way. I love that, you only have to use that get-out-of-jail-free card in Monopoly when you land on go to jail. You can play the game. You can keep playing the game without ever having to use that card, right? If you're winning and you're acquiring properties and you're having a good time and you just have this in your back pocket right over here, get out of jail. Oh, look at that. I landed on get out of jail. Suck it. I'm not going to jail. That's Florida State with Jordan Travis. It's like, now don't make us do this. Now you guys are being a little ornery and stopping our traditional runs. Now don't make – all right, that's it. Jordan Travis is running. That's what happens, and it's a completely different deal. If you're able to avoid having to run him and keep him healthy for longer stretches at a time, and God forbid he's able to just beat you from the pocket and you're able to run the football, then by all means keep doing that. But just remember, if things are slow to start tomorrow and they're struggling with the run game for whatever reason, you do have the other get-out-of-jail-free card right there, and that is to run Jordan Travis, which they did in the red zone a little bit against Miami, which we saw. So I just tell you, it's out there.
So visually, if you're on Warchant TV right now, you know where I'm about to go. But it's time to spring a little game on you in the final segment. Little prize game. And that's right. You can use promo code Warchant for a 100% deposit match up to a lot of money. But I wanted to pull up a couple of Florida State plays, and we don't necessarily have to set lineups this week. But Jordan Travis' number, passing yards wise, is 235.5 for this game tomorrow. You're going over. Okay. Why? How do you think he gets there?
240 yards.
What kind of plays, though? Do you think that we're going to scheme up some downfield shots, or is this the dink and dunk express?
It's all dink and dunk, quick game stuff with him in the passing game. One shot play after they get him coming up, and you get the long gain, and he just barely gets over the yardage. I'm more intrigued. What are the rush yards while we're playing this live? It's kind of fun to do here. By the way, in my personal life, I'm not going to do anything with our game as far as prize picks goes. I will lay the points, but I'm not touching this game from a prize pick standpoint. I'll look elsewhere.
It is impossible for them to set a number because Trayshawn Ward could be, playing in this game. So there are no Florida State running backs. And how about the respect for Florida State defensively, and also what's happening with Garrett Schrader, that Sean Tucker doesn't even have a prop for tomorrow.
I'm gonna go Micah Pittman over 35.5 yards.
Is that because Micah Pittman had, I think there were 0 targets last week?
I think they're going to get him.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get him the ball 4 or 5 times in this game.
I agree.
He'll also make somebody miss. He is tough. He might run through a tackle. I mean, I like Micah with the ball in his hands, man. He's pretty electric. He's going to be hungry. I think they're going to feed him a little bit here. He's kind of squeaky wheel gets the grease. I have a feeling he's been a bit of a squeaky wheel maybe this week.
Well, and I think there's decent reason for it because it's not like he's incapable. And in this game, screams for, and there's the prize picks of the week. Pittman over and Jordan over is what you like. but this is a game for perimeter screens, and you want Johnny blocking for somebody. And it could be Ja'Kai Douglas too, or it could be a Deuce Spann, or it could be somebody else. But Micah Pittman fits the mold better, and I think it's just like anything else. It's human nature. They know they need to get him at bats. They know they have to, and they should, because he works really hard and he's a good player. I think this is the time that you get him those at bats.
Yeah, and that's, by the way, the good point to make there, Tom, because I think it's important people realize that when I say he's a squeaky wheel and he wants the grease this week, yeah, his personality is that way. He's going to tell you about it. He's probably a little bit more needy than some of the other guys on this team. But in fairness to him, he's tough. He'll block for his fellow receivers. He cares deeply. He's physical. He's bought in. He works hard every single day. He comes to practice. He does everything right. So this is not me saying, hey, everybody, alert, 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 prima donna. No, it's a guy who does want attention, but he also works for it. So it's fair. It's a little bit more palatable is what I'll say. Much like our friends at Tallulah have the palatability of CBD, mushrooms, THC, you're floating about, you got the juice in your hand, forget about it. There it is, touchdown Otter, loving life right there on the BBC. I'm telling you, swing by Tallulah, relax your weekend, go in easy, everybody. It's all perfectly legal, Not everything that they sell at Tallulah will get you high. A lot of things just kind of mellow you out. Relax your muscles a little bit. I know, I like Tallulah. I go there frequently. So do these little floaty characters. So that's good stuff. Just want to say thank you to our friends at Tallulah.
I think if I could have one thing that's moving art in my house, it would be the floating touchdown otter. You know, if there was one thing on the wall that could just be a moving painting, that is just what I aspire to.
Well, one of the reasons. Well, the other reasons you love it is just like that face is the cutest face of all time. You're just like, look at you. You could not be more adorable. Look. He's like, I got this, everybody. I got this. Yeah, and when you go out to California, when I was in San Francisco, you see them all over the place. And one of the funny things that's funny, they put their babies on their chest sometimes. So they're floating, and you'll see a mama like this, and the babies are just laying there like, that's fantastic. It's even better. It's good. All right, we got to go. We got to say goodbye to everybody. Good work out of you, Tom. Thanks to my mom. Thanks to Lee Sterling and Paramount Sports. Thanks to all of you.
Make sure you stop at Metro Deli tomorrow in downtown Tallahassee between Park and College. 20th anniversary, 11 a.m. it starts. It goes till 5. Live music at 3. And most importantly to all of you, free beer while supplies last. And there's a lot of supply.
Yeah, good job, Metro Deli. All right, be good, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the pregame show beginning at 7 o'clock. Peace and love. Take care. Good Knowles. Bye.